Hey guys, going to do another video today. In fact, I'm going to try and do several videos over the course of the weekend. Got the house completely to myself, so there's no disturbances, no hoovering or whatnot in the background, so I'm going to see if I can record about 3 videos this weekend and then probably upload them over the course of the next week. But to get me in the mood for this, I thought I'd start off by doing, as a few other people already have, a video response to Rat Trap 25's Nostalgia Mania. And I like a good bit of nostalgia, as anyone who knows me will tell you. So this is pretty much going to be a lot of fun, I think. So yeah, let's crack on. So question number 1. What makes you a nostalgic person? Now I wasn't sure if this was meant sort of in general, or whether it was, you know, from my what personally makes me a nostalgic person. But so I'll answer it from my point of view. And basically, yeah, I'm a very nostalgic person. I'm still living in the 80s pretty much, and I think that's because, you know, there was, when you had all these like shows and to watch and toys you collected and what have you, or played with, as it was the case then, rather than collecting. There was, you know, there wasn't anything else to worry about really, was there? You didn't have to worry about real world issues. You had, it was like a bit of escapism. You went to school or whatever, and you came home and you had nothing to worry about. Then you could just, you know, pretend to be whatever you want, watch whatever you want, and just, you know, it was just so much fun. And I think nostalgia kind of, if you're a nostalgic person, you kind of hang on to that, and just, rather than sort of segmenting your life to, you know, I was, you know, up to here I was a child, here I was an adult, blah 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 blah. And I think a lot of us like to hang on to a part of that for whatever reason. So yeah, that's all I can say really for that one. Next question. Top 5 nostalgic programs. Well, I'll do them in order, because I've tried to. Sorry if I keep looking at the screen. I've written everything down because there's on a couple of the questions there's a lot of things I want to mention. But yeah, so top 5 nostalgic programs. Number 1 is obviously going to be Transformers. That's pretty much going to be a given throughout these whole list questions. Obviously, that's why you're watching me in the first place, because we all share a love of Transformers. So that's number 1. Number 2, and well, I'll be honest here. The rest of this list, this question was the most difficult for me to answer because I had so much choice. As I said, I'm very nostalgic. I love my old shows, and I still watch a lot of old shows on DVDs and on YouTube and what have you. And it's like at work, if someone will be trying to remember some show and they'll mention a few vague details to me, and I'll go, oh yeah, that was so and so, and the main characters were this, that and the other, and they're like, how do you remember all this? So yeah, this is very hard for me to pick out 5, and I'm going to have to sort of give an honorary mention to quite a few of the other shows here. So yeah, number 1 was Transformers, we've said. Number 2, I've gone for Airwolf. Now, you can kind of put in this category all those kind of there were a lot of very similar shows. You know, you had your Knight Rider and Street Hawk and Dukes of Hazzard and the A-Team, all those kind of shows. So I didn't want to just list loads of variations of what was essentially the same format. So I thought I'd just pick out one, although I love all those shows and would quite happily put any of those in my top 5 on you know, any given day. But I thought I'd just go for the 1 because they kind of all fall under the same. They all pretty much had the same format, didn't they? They had a small team of people fighting crime, or you know, something to that effect, in some sort of vehicle that was better than your average vehicle. So yeah, I've gone for Airwolf. Now the reason I've gone for that, and it probably wasn't my favourite back when everything was originally aired, but out of all of those kind of shows, I think that one probably holds up the best and is still the most watchable, with probably the A-Team just slightly behind it. But yeah, Airwolf I think still stands up today, especially the first series, where it was kind of set around the sort of Cold War kind of theme, and it was very sort of it was quite dark actually looking back on it. It was a bit edgier than some of the other ones, unlike the A-Team, where I think in the whole 6 series or whatever it was it ran for, I think one person only ever got hit by a bullet, despite all that automatic weapons fire, which was a bit of a running gag on the show, I believe. But yeah, Airwolf was kind of a bit dark, a bit edgier, and yeah, I think it's sort of, as an adult, it's retains a bit more watchability than the other ones. So yeah, number 2 come for Airwolf. Number 3, Mask. Another great cartoon, love Mask. Again, you kind of had the sort of transforming element to the vehicles, which is probably what made it so entertaining. But then you had the guys wearing their masks to add that little bit extra to it. And I actually, one of the computer games I played to death on my old Amstrad 128K, Feel the Power. I had a Mask game for that, and I spent hours playing that game on there, even though it was, looking back on it, it was probably a right big pile of crap. But yeah, Mask at number 3. Number 4, I've gone for Jason the Wheeled Warriors. Slightly more obscure, and I'm not sure everyone will remember it. In fact, well, you guys probably will, because we're all sort of really into our nostalgia. But it's kind of one of those slightly more obscure ones. Again, vehicles and things like that. It was a common theme, isn't it, back then? But this one gets in ahead of some of the others because I always give it bonus points purely on the fact that it's probably got the best theme tune of a cartoon or a show ever, in my opinion. The shows sort of back in the 80s all had great theme tunes. They had that kind of... a lot of them had that kind of 80s metally hair metal type sound to it. But yeah, Jason the Wheeled Warriors theme tune was unbelievably good. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with it, go and look it up now. You won't be disappointed. And then number 5. Now this was the hardest one to pick because there were so many that I could have put on this list, and I'll run through those as well briefly in a second. But I went for Inspector Gadget. Yeah, it's again a great theme tune, but it was kind of, you had the bungling detective getting all the credit for solving all these crimes every week when he was in fact a bit of an idiot, and it was Penny and was it Brain the dog, or Brains? I can never remember. I think it's Brain. They were the ones who were solving the crime. And I love the fact that Dr. Claw, the baddie, you never saw him. You only ever saw his arm. You never got to find out what he looked like. At least I don't think they ever revealed it. They did the live action movie years back, and what a load of rubbish that was. They even got his catchphrase wrong. I'll get you next time, Gadget. Next time. They don't have any excuse to do that impression, really. So yeah, they messed that up. I couldn't believe that. So that kind of ruined it straight away for me. But yeah, that was hard picking those, because there are so many shows I could have put on that list. Top 5 really isn't enough for me on that. I could have probably done a top 20 and still had plenty left over. I mean, there were loads I ummed and ahed about. I mean, I'll go through the list. Just here on the screen I've got I could have gone for He-Man, Visionaries, Centurions, Toxic Crusaders, bit of a more obscure one, Batfink, that's going back a bit further, Ulysses 31, again cracking theme tune for that, check that one out, Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pole Position. And actually, speaking of theme tunes, if you're familiar with the Pole Position theme tune, or even if you're not actually, listen to that and then go and listen to... There was a song a few years ago by someone called LaRue, and she did a song called, I think it was Going In For The Kill, or In For The Kill, or something like that. Listen to those two after each other, and seriously, when that first came on the radio a few years back, I sort of did a double take and went, why are they playing the Pole Position theme tune? So yeah, what else could we have had? GoBots, yeah, probably would have been higher if it not been for the fact it's a crap version of Transformers. Defenders of the Earth, Telebugs, don't know if anyone remembers that one, Fraggle Rock, Jamie and the Magic Torch, and Trapdoor. So yeah, I could have I could have gone on for it, and there are still ones that I haven't even put on that list that that I could have gone with. But there we go. I'll leave it there because I could waffle on forever on that subject. So next question: what are your top 5 toy lines? Again, number 1, Transformers, obviously. Number 2, Mask. Again, generally, I always found that if I liked the cartoon show, there was a very high probability I would be buying the toys, which is obviously why they made those shows in the first place, because it's basically they were giant toy commercials, weren't they? Let's be honest. So yeah, Mask at number 2. Number 3, He-Man. Although I didn't get him into my top 5 cartoons, I did have a lot of He-Man toys when I was young. In fact, probably only had more Transformers than He-Man. Still got them all. Haven't thrown any of my toys away. They're all packed up in our loft somewhere. Trying to get some of the stuff down. Maybe I'll manage to get it eventually. I don't know what condition it's all in now, but say it's just been set up in the loft. Number 4, G.I. Joe or Action Force, whichever you prefer to call it. I didn't have a lot of that, but what I did have I really liked. I had the best thing I had was Zartan, who was like his skin change colour because he was meant to be sort of a disguise expert. But unfortunately, I lost him. I left him. We were playing outside in the front gardens of All Action Force one time, and I left him outside overnight, and he mysteriously vanished. In other words, some bugger nicked him, but I never did find out who it was. And also, one of my other, in fact, from G.I. Joe, my favourite character was always Snake Eyes. I love ninjas. I think ninjas are cool. And if you don't like ninjas, how dare you? But yeah, this guy was always my favourite, and I could never get hold of one of these. This is the 25th anniversary version. But yeah, I could never get hold of that particular Snake Eyes when I was younger. I think it's the second version they ever did of him. But I always liked that visor he had. But I did have a Snake Eyes, but it wasn't that one. I think it was the 3rd or the 4th one, and it just wasn't the same, was it? So I a while ago, I think it was last year, I tracked down that one and got that. So that was number 4. And number 5 was Zoids. If anyone remembers those, they was this sort of model kit. They came as a little model kit, and you built them up, and they were robots, and they had like a wind-up motor on them, and they would walk along the table or shuffle along or whatever. And you got bigger ones that were battery operated, but being a poor 8-year-old or whatever, I didn't have money to be spending on these toys. It was birthdays and Christmas, wasn't it, back then, basically. So yeah, Zoids. I used to get them at Woolworths. Three of them in a pack for, I don't know, £5 or something. They were great. Again, a couple of honorary mentions. Road Blasters, if anyone remembers that rather. That were basically matchbox cars with sort of plastic guns and armour that dropped over the top of them. And I remember they did. There was a comic of that. There was a comic strip in. What was it in? Was it Eagle? Yeah, it was when Eagle combined with the Mask comic. And there was a story in there, and this kid was kind of sucked into a computer game world, and he had to play various games in order to survive, or something like that. And he played Thunderblade, was one of the games he played, which was my all-time favourite computer game. But he played Road Blasters, and so that's kind of why that one was something I always want. I still try and find them on eBay, but you never bloody see them, unfortunately. What other ones? Honorary mentions. Ring Raiders, if anyone remembers that. This is my one that I've still got. I bought that a couple of years ago. That was another one. I like to track down toys that I wanted as a child and could never get hold of, either couldn't find or couldn't afford. So that was another one like that. Visionaries, again, I've got quite a few of those somewhere. And again, GoBots would probably get in if it wasn't for the fact it's not as good as Transformers. Shame really, because it was a good. They kind of got just outpunched by better production values and better quality, really, didn't they? Never mind, eh? So yeah, that's that question. Next one. What famous nostalgic person would you like to meet? This one was a bit tricky for me because I'm not big on kind of really meeting. I don't have the real desire to. I wanted to meet a few people at Auto Assembly last year. Unfortunately, I missed out on Michael Bell, which was the one I really wanted to meet because I wanted to get him to sign my Prowl toy because he's one of my favourite characters. But it's not a big thing for me getting to meet people. I suppose I'll give an answer, but it's not. I wouldn't. It wouldn't bother me either way if I did or didn't meet this person. But I wouldn't mind meeting James Earl Jones purely because I'd get him to say things, really mundane things, and it would be like, well, Darth Vader, or I'm just nipping out to get some bread or something. It'd be really weird. So, novel fact here alone, James Earl Jones. Okay, next question. If you could have any costume, what would it be? I think I'll just follow on from my previous answer and say Darth Vader. I have a great big Darth Vader costume. I've got a Jedi Knight robe actually, which I bought for a specific reason, which then never materialised. So it's just kind of hanging around. But yeah, Darth Vader costume. Or maybe an R2D2. I don't know. Maybe I'm short enough I'll be able to get inside it myself. But there we go. So yeah, Darth Vader. Okay, next question. Top 5 nostalgic movie franchises. This will be the first top 5 list that Transformers doesn't appear in because the original movie was on its own, and the recent ones we've got weren't exactly. Well, they were passable, I suppose, but they weren't anything special. So number 1 on this is Star Wars, which is kind of like my second love behind Transformers these days. Number 2, Indiana Jones. Great films. You can just stick them on whenever, like a lazy day, and quite happily watch any of those. Temple of Doom is my favourite of the 3 or 4 now. But yeah, I think that's my favourite one. Number 3, the Rocky films. Great films. Number 4 is the best. I must break you. Narrowly beating out number 3 because it's got Mr. T in it. Number 4, Back to the Future. Again, fun films you can just stick on whenever you want, really, and pass the time. Always good. And number 5, and I might take a bit of stick for this because the third one is crap. I mean, really, it was dodgy as hell. But I really like the first 2 Beverly Hills Cop films. I've got the DVD box set of those, and I watch them every now and then just when I've got nothing better to do. And it's when I watched them again recently, I've forgotten how funny they are. Actually, well, I find them funny anyway. But yeah, good fun films. So yeah, that's that done. What's next? Where are we? What media do you prefer? I think that's the question anyway. That's how I'm going to answer it. I'm kind of a big fan of. Well, I collect the. I'll show that now. I do like my Transformers comic, and so this came today, latest issue, Regeneration 1. I've quite religiously collected the original comic, but I actually prefer the cartoon because that was like my first kind of exposure to it, and I say I love old TV shows and things like that. So yeah, although it's kind of a close run thing with comics, Transformers is the only comic I really collected a lot of. I mean, I've got a few other things like Mask, and as I mentioned the Eagle before, when that combined with Mask. Got a few random, like somewhere I've got the first couple of issues of Mad Balls, if anyone remembers those toys. But yeah, predominantly a cartoon guy, I think, which means as well, I have to agree with Mighty Grimlock, Rumble is blue. Okay, next one. What convention would you like to go to? Obviously, already done Auto Assembly. I've done Memorabilia, but of course, the big one is going to be BotCon or maybe San Diego Comic Con. One of those two. There's not really any others out there that I am aware of, anyway. That that I particularly want to go to, but one of those two would be absolutely fantastic to go and see something like that. Chance of actually ever going to do it. I'd like to get out to the States someday. Whether I manage it or not, I don't know. But yeah, certainly one of those two would be the. If I could go to anything, be one of those. So yeah, BotCon or San Diego Comic Con. Okay, next one. What is your first collection memory? I've mentioned this before. I mentioned it in my very first video I did last year, actually. I was in hospital when I was about 4 years old, I think it was, and I got given a G1 Warpath, the mini-bot. Still got him. In fact, I've got a second one of him because I've got the Takara reissue mini-bot set. But yeah, I've still got the original one. I keep meaning to dig it out. I still haven't dug it out. But yeah, it kind of went from there really. So I got that mini bot, got a few more mini bots. In fact, I collected most of the mini bots. So I did like the mini bots, and it just kind of went from there really. And it wasn't really collecting at that point. It was, I wouldn't have considered myself a collector back then. It was just toys to play with, as it was with all the other toy lines I bought back then or acquired through various means. That sounds like I nicked them, doesn't it? I didn't do any nicking, honestly. So yeah, G1 Warpath, and then it just kind of went from there, really. But what kind of kick-started my collecting was I was at Memorabilia convention last year, and I bought a e-hobby Orion Pax, which is like the recolour of Cup, and that kind of got me. I got bitten by the bug again, and it's sort of gone on again from there really, and that's how I've ended up here on YouTube talking to you now. So yeah, and then the last question, top 5 cartoon reboots. Now I can't really answer this one because I'm not a big fan of reboots generally, not every single time. I really enjoyed Transformers Prime, which is obviously a reboot, as I think it was Monkey said in his one of these, that, you know, essentially every version of Transformers is a reboot of the previous ones, you know, stemming all the way back to G1. I haven't watched actually a lot of the things. I've never seen animated, like Robots in Disguise and Energon, Armada and all that. I haven't seen that. But yeah, I really enjoyed Transformers Prime. Looking forward to the next season 3 of that starting soon. Don't think I'm going to get too many of the toys looking at deluxe wise anyway. I'll you can see behind me all the all various Cyberverse figures sitting there, and I will keep buying all the Cyberverse figures, including Abominus. We're getting a combiner. But yeah, deluxe wise, I think I might stick to, well, I'll get Smokescreen because we haven't had a proper Smokescreen yet. The original mould, not some stupid recolour of Knockout. What that was all about, I don't know. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked here. I'm supposed to be talking about cartoon reboots. Yeah, Transformers Prime. Other than that, I haven't really watched many reboots. I've seen the first few episodes of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that they did. Was it last year? Did it start? My mate started recording it for his little girls, because they like things like that, and so I was round there at their place and I saw the first few episodes. It looked pretty good, but I never watched it after that. Yeah, I say I'm not a big fan of reboots because for me, I like the original stuff, and I see something new or take on something new, a new take on something old rather, and it's not quite the same because I just like it how it was meant to be originally, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm not a big fan of reboots. So yeah, I can't give you a top 5 because there aren't. I couldn't name 5 that I watched, so I'm a bit stuffed on that one. So yeah, that's basically it. I don't know how long this has gone on for, but I'm sure I've waffled on for quite a while because I could probably, if I wanted to, I could probably go on for a lot longer about a few things, but I won't bore you any longer. So yeah, I'll leave it there. So thanks for watching, and thanks to RatTrap25 for coming up with some cracking questions and about a topic that we all love talking about. So cheers for that, mate. And yeah, so I'm going to crank out a few more videos hopefully over the weekend, and so I'll see you on the next one. Catch you later.